Hello WWE World, this is Wrestle Talk Reality, back with the hottest wrestling updates. Subscribe now and let's break it down. In one of the most electrifying moments the WWE Universe has ever witnessed, the entire world seemed to pause as Roman Reigns made his thunderous return to the ring, walking side by side with the one man no one expected. Seth Rollins. For months, speculation swirled about Roman's comeback, with fans predicting a surprise at some pay-per-view event or a quiet return backstage, but no one imagined he would reappear in a moment that felt more like a seismic event than a wrestling entrance. When the lights dropped to complete darkness and that familiar single note echoed across the arena, the audience reacted with a wave of disbelief so loud it rattled the cameras. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, was back, and he wasn't stepping into this moment alone. Braun Breaker's era. Interrupted for weeks, Braun Breaker had controlled the narrative on both Raw and SmackDown, repeatedly declaring that the old generation was finished and that the Bloodline's legacy faded the day Roman Reigns stepped away. Standing tall after another dominant match, Braun raised his arms in victory, believing he had secured the future of WWE under his name alone. But just as the crowd began acknowledging his momentum, Roman's entrance shattered the celebration instantly. Braun's confident expression stiffened as he watched Roman step out from behind the curtain. Calm, focused, and carrying the presence of a man who never truly lost his throne. This wasn't a cameo. It was a statement. The past he had mocked had returned to face him directly. The visionary walks beside the tribal chief. As if Roman's return wasn't shocking enough, the arena erupted even louder when Seth Rollins followed him onto the stage. Long fought to be on his own path, after months of recovery and emotional turmoil, Seth appeared dressed in black, a controlled grin on his face, one that suggested he was ready to rewrite his own legacy. Rollins walked to Roman's side as though no time had passed between them, not as rivals, but as two icons drawn together by purpose. Their eyes remained locked on Braun Breaker, and as the two descended the ramp, the audience felt something powerful, a sense that fate was pulling two brothers in arms back toward a shared mission. Not as the Shield, not as bloodline challengers, but as something new, something more dangerous. A sudden shift in the arena. Inside the ring, Braun tried to keep his composure as the energy in the building shifted entirely away from him. The fans' chants changed from celebrating Braun's dominance to roaring with disbelief and adrenaline at the reformed alliance approaching the ring. The atmosphere was electric, charged with anticipation, shock, and excitement, as Roman and Seth quietly slid into the ring and began circling Braun like seasoned predators analyzing their target. Braun, despite his power and confidence, felt the weight of the moment. The past and present had merged, and he was standing at the center of a storm far bigger than his momentum. A clash of generations. Braun refused to back down, stepping forward and attempting to assert himself as the leader of the new era. He struck first with the aggressive intensity that made him a rising star, but Roman Reigns countered with the precision and presence that defined a decade of dominance. What followed wasn't a brutal beatdown, it was a symbolic moment of authority. Roman delivered his signature spear with dramatic force that sent Braun tumbling, not in a dangerous way, but in a way that reminded the world exactly who he was dealing with. Before Braun could regain balance, Seth Rollins followed with a sudden stomp that left the crowd in a frenzy. The message was clear. Experience, legacy, and unity still outweighed raw power, the line that shook the wrestling world. As cameras zoomed in on the ring, fans watched Roman lean towards Seth with an expression of calm calculation, whispering the line that instantly became the quote of the night, "It's time to take back what's ours." That single sentence shot through social media within minutes, igniting endless predictions and fan theories. Was this the start of a new power faction, a rebirth of an iconic brotherhood? A complete shift in WWE's hierarchy? Roman's words suggested more than a return. He was announcing a campaign for control, a reclamation of the throne he never officially lost, and a statement that he and Seth were prepared to challenge anyone who stood in their way. Locker room shockwaves. Backstage, the atmosphere reportedly exploded into confusion, excitement, and disbelief, as officials and superstars rushed to understand how Roman's return had been kept so tightly under wraps. Many insiders claimed that the surprise was known by only a handful of people, creating genuine shock even among veteran performers. Rumors began circulating that WWE may be preparing for a massive storyline leading toward WrestleMania 2025, a storyline involving Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Braun Breaker in a generational clash that could define the next decade. The sense of unpredictability sweeping through the locker room wasn't negative. It was energizing, as though the entire company had just been handed the spark it needed for a new era of storytelling. Social media in meltdown mode. Within minutes of the moment being broadcast, social media erupted around the globe. Fans flooded timelines with clips, slowed down replays, screenshots, and theories about Roman's return, Seth's expression, and Braun Breaker's reaction. Edits combining Shield flashbacks with Tribal Chief highlights went viral instantly. The internet debated whether the two were forming a brand new alliance or revisiting their shared legacy in a modern form. Hashtags related to Roman and Seth's reunion dominated every platform, and the wrestling community agreed on one thing: WWE had just delivered one of the most unforgettable surprises of the decade, a reclaimed legacy and a new direction. Roman Reigns' return wasn't just a dramatic entrance, it reshaped everything. His presence revitalized the landscape, while Seth's alignment with him created a storyline filled with intrigue, strategy, and emotional weight. Braun Breaker, once untouched at the top of WWE's new generation, now found himself facing not only two of the most accomplished wrestlers of the modern era, but also the history and experience they carried with them. This wasn't about revenge or ego. It was about legacy, purpose, and the future of the company. Roman and Seth didn't return to play. They returned to lead. Nothing will be the same again. The final image of the night: Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins standing shoulder to shoulder, united under a new mission, will be remembered as the moment WWE's future pivoted. Their message was unmistakable. A new era of dominance was beginning, and it wouldn't be built on nostalgia, but on power, intention, and unfinished business. Braun Breaker represented the future, but Roman and Seth represented something even stronger: experience sharpened by years of rivalry, brotherhood, and evolution. With Roman's unexpected return and Seth's rebirth beside him, WWE 2025 changed instantly, and nothing in the wrestling world will ever be the same again.